Today we're moving past addition and subtraction. We are still doing single step though, it's just multiplication and division this time. So we are in 3.4. So a lot of these slides are the same, so if you took notes from before, you can just reference those until we get to the problem that we're actually solving. So I asked you this question last time, I'm going to ask you guys again. What does this mean? What does the word equation mean? Hopefully you say equals, because that means the left side is equal to our right side. It's all about that balance. Don't forget about the golden rule. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side. It's the exact same thing over and over again, because it's about that balance. If I add 2 to the left, I have to add 2 to the right to keep my scale from tipping over. Our goal is still the same. We have to find out what is happening to the variable. And that means by isolating it. So we have to get x alone. And just like before, inverse operations, before we know that positives and negatives are inverses of each other, or addition, subtraction, however you want to look at it. Today we're focusing on multiplication and division. So those are going to be the inverse operations of each other there. Again, here's your steps. You don't have to write them if you already wrote them down once. We're separating at the equal sign. We're simplifying both sides in KCOing. We're going to circle our variable, and then we're asking ourselves what's happening to our variable. If it's multiplication, we're going to divide on both sides. If I see division, we're going to multiply on both sides. So let's look at these problems here. This is Throwback Tuesday. So these are 2 addition subtraction problems that I want you to try to solve just to get your brain working for these upcoming problems. So pause the video and follow your steps. And here's your 2 answers. So for the first one, you should have gotten C equals negative 27. And for the second one, you should have gotten G equals 5 and 21 over 40. So now let's work with our multiplication and division. So I've got 2 problems for you. For this first one, I see 8x equals negative 6. We have to think about what's happening between the 8 and the x. Our end goal is to get x by itself. The thing that's preventing x from being by itself is that 8. So I know I have to get rid of that. I just have to do the inverse operation in order to get rid of it. So I've got 8 times x. So since that is multiplication, I know that I'm going to have to do division. We're going to divide by that coefficient. Coefficient's that number in front of the variable, so it's that 8. So we're dividing by 8 on both sides. And then that crosses out because 8 divided by 8 equals 1. And what's 1 times x? It's just x. On this right side, the numerator and the denominator are both divisible by 2. I can't simplify it fully, so I get just like a whole number, but I can just simplify that fraction. So when I take 6 divided by 2, I get 3, and when I take 8 divided by 2, I get 4. And so my final answer is x equals negative 3/4. Now I have to go back and check. So I'm going to substitute my x, or that negative 3/4 into my x, and then I'm going to simplify. There we go. Because I'm multiplying those 2 fractions, I added a 1 underneath the 8. And then remember, when we're multiplying fractions, we just multiply straight across. So 8 times 3 is 24. 1 times 4 is 4. 24 divided by 4 gives me my 6. Since one number is positive and the other one is negative, it is a negative answer, which means we have negative 6 equals negative 6, which means that our solution is correct. It works. Let's try this one together now. So I see my variable on the right side now. Our goal is to get that variable z by itself. The thing that's preventing it is that negative 2. So I know that I have to get rid of that negative 2 by moving it over to the other side. I'm asking myself what's happening between z and negative 2. And this time it's division. So we're going to do the inverse, which is multiplication by our denominator, that bottom negative 2. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 2. So we keep this equation balanced. When this says divide by negative 2 and then multiply by negative 2, that just becomes a 1. Z divided by 1 just equals z. So we isolated our variable on this right side. Now we just have to simplify the left side. So we've got a negative 15 times a negative 2. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. 15 2 times is 30. So my final answer is z equals 30. Now let's go ahead and check. I substituted my 30 into my z, so it's my numerator now. And I'm going to simplify that right side, so 30 divided by negative 2, while a positive divided by a negative is going to give me a negative answer. 30 split in half, or divided by 2, equals 15. So we have negative 15 equals negative 15. That's a true statement. That means it works. I want you to try these 3 problems by yourself. Feel free to go back and look at what I have over here to be able to solve your equations better and quickly. So pause the video, try those 3 problems, make sure you're checking your answers, and then check with me once you're done as well. And here are your 3 answers. So for the first one, you should have gotten n equals negative 0.25. For the second one, you should have gotten h equals negative 50 once you had that simplified. And for our last one, you should have gotten k equals 1.1. And you can go through and look at my work and my checked answer to see how I solved it if you got it wrong. So now we have the question, is this right or wrong? N equals negative 12. We're checking to see if this is a solution to this equation here. So we need to substitute negative 12 into n. So we're going to take that negative 12 and we're going to put it into our n. We can do that because it says n equals negative 12, which means they're the exact same thing. It doesn't matter if I say n or if I say negative 12, they have the same exact meaning. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So this says 2 times n. Instead of an n, I want a negative 12. And then minus 4. And that still equals negative 20. Now I have to simplify. Negative 2, or 2 times negative 12 is going to give me a negative 24. And we still have that minus 4 there. I'm going to KCO that. That means keep, change, opposite. And that's still supposed to be equal to negative 20. Negative 24 plus negative 4. Since they're both negative, we're adding those two together. So we are going to get negative 28 equals negative 20. There's no more simplifying I can do, and this says negative 28 equals negative 20. That is not a true statement. So this problem is wrong. That is the wrong answer for it. And there's my work laid out a little bit nicer. I want you to try this problem on your own. See if this W is a solution. Substitute 20 into our W, simplify, and see if you get 91 on this side once you simplify. So pause the video and try that now. Hopefully you got that this one was wrong too. When we substitute 20 into W, we get 80. Negative 11 plus 80. Since they're two different signs, that means that it's going down. We're subtracting those two. So 80 minus 11 is going to be 69. 69 does not equal negative, or does not equal 91. And so that means that this is a wrong answer. Now we have your homework. So go to page 106 in your textbook and answer these questions.